Have you ever walked into a meeting, looked around the room and thought, wow, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing here. And then you realize, wait, I've been doing this exact job for 7 years. If that's you, welcome to the club. We meet on Wednesdays, and none of us think we belong here either. It's a bizarre psychological glitch. You do your job well, raise human beings without losing them, or become the go-to expert everyone calls for advice. But the moment someone praises you, a tiny frantic voice inside you whispers, abort, they're on to us. What if they finally figure out I'm just 3 raccoons in a trench coat? That, my friends, is imposter syndrome. So what is imposter syndrome? Unfortunately, it's not just one thing. I think there are 3 different causes. Type 1 is the skill gap, and this one makes the most sense. This is the one that most people consider themselves. You don't have any experience, you're brand new, and feeling uncertain is appropriate. That's not really imposter syndrome. You're learning. But you should have doubt when you don't have any skills. Type 2 is the identity gap. This is where we're going to spend most of our time today. Your skills have grown, but your identity hasn't. Your external reality says, I know what I'm doing. Your internal identity still says, I'm the noob, hoping nobody notices. Achievements stack up faster than identity, so your brain rejects the evidence. This is why accomplishments don't always solve feeling like an imposter. And then type 3, the integrity gap. This is the worst option. You're succeeding, but not as yourself. You're acting. You're saying yes when you mean no, speaking like someone else, building someone else's dream, living out someone else's definition of success. Your nervous system says, this isn't us. But that doesn't create confidence, it creates internal conflict. Feeling like an imposter might have something to do with your skill set, but we're only beginner noobs for so long. We've been sold this lie that if we stack our resumes high enough or get more certifications, we'll finally feel qualified. But confidence often isn't earned the way that we've been taught. You don't need new skills, or maybe you do, but what you need is a chat with your biology. So today we're diving into why your brain is playing tricks on you, why your accomplishments aren't sinking in, and how to finally stop feeling like a professional con artist. Let's get into it. Most people think confidence is a feeling. They think confident people glide through life, completely immune to fear, probably sweating glitter. And they're wrong. A lot of people confuse confidence with courage. People think self-trust shows up before you do the scary thing, like it's a hype man waiting for you in the lobby. If you needed to feel confident before taking action, no one would ever learn to swim. We'd all stand by the pool waiting for an inner sense of peace that never comes. No one would start a business, no one would fall in love, and dear God, absolutely no one would become a parent. Imagine looking at a screaming newborn and thinking, yes, I feel entirely qualified and secure in my ability to keep this fragile bologna loaf alive. Absolutely not. You have concerns.
Yes.
Your bologna loaf is on the way?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. I'm excited and terrified.
That is the very first thing I thought when I saw my son. Was like,
don't break the baby.
It's a bologna loaf. It's this little meatball.
I love the average success for parenthood is just they're still alive.
Yeah.
Like, I can get behind that.
I haven't lost them. Yeah, one time me and my son were going camping, and my wife made a big to-do about coming out and taking a picture of us, and I was like, she's not trying to create a memory. She wants a last known picture. If I lose this kid,
so that she can give it to wearing.
She wants something for the milk carton.
She wants something for the authorities. This was literally the day and time that he left. This is how he looked. Find this kid.
Let me get a rag with his scent on it as well.
Yes. Confidence is the product of courage. Confidence shows up because of courage. The first time you do something, you don't get to feel confident. Sorry, those are the rules. The first time requires pure courage, which usually feels a lot like nausea and existential dread. What happens is attempt number 1 requires courage, and attempt number 10 yields confidence. Courage the first time becomes confidence the next time, and you don't need to feel ready. You just need to be willing to be brave for 10 seconds. Courage borrows confidence from the future. Confidence is courage remembered. So why don't accomplishments always create confidence? I know you're thinking, Jake, I've already done the thing. I've been in this career for 15 years. I've built the business. I've raised the kids. I've survived hard things. So why do I still feel like I'm one awkward meeting away from being exposed as a complete fraud? Because experience and confidence aren't the same thing. Experience is the record of what you've done. It's the receipt. Confidence tells you who to trust, and those aren't always the same person. A lot of people preach that confidence is the natural reward of accomplishment. Think Alex Hormozy. And he should be right, but it doesn't always work that way. In fact, most of the time it doesn't, sadly. We think if we collect enough trophies, promotions, certifications, or successful projects, one day our brain will finally lean back in its chair and say, congratulations, you may now feel qualified. Have you ever thought that? Me neither. Instead, I say, nice job, but let's not get carried away here. The feeling of satisfaction from accomplishments fades surprisingly quickly. The promotion becomes your new normal. The successful presentation is yesterday's news when tomorrow shows up. The degree gets framed on the wall, and a month later, you're wondering if you know enough to deserve hanging it there. That's because accomplishments can prove what you did. They can't decide what you believe about yourself. And your belief about yourself is where confidence lives. Confidence isn't earned from success, it's earned from integrity. And there are really two kinds of confidence. External confidence says, I feel good about myself as long as everything out there keeps going well. As long as people approve, the job is going well, the relationship lasts, nobody criticizes me, and as long as I keep winning. The problem is, you don't own any of those things. They're not durable. They're rented. They become fragile. And fragile things fall apart. Internal confidence is completely different. It says, I don't know what's about to happen. I might succeed. I might fail. But I trust the person who's going to experience it. That's confidence. It isn't confidence in the outcome. It's confidence in yourself. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the presence of self-trust. You stop asking, what if this goes badly, and start asking, do I trust myself to handle whatever happens next? With that, your self-belief doesn't rise and fall with your circumstances. It comes with you wherever you go.
I find myself often repeating the mantra, trust what you know, because there's no questioning the skills that I've built. To go back to that basis of build some new skills, I would consider myself on the newer side of giving full sessions, and every time is different. And even if you work with the same person twice, it's going to be different. And so oftentimes when that ego creeps in, part of the way that I compassionately allow it to see itself out is that mantra of just trust what you know. And it's quite comforting.
And even if you don't know, you can build up a trust in, I trust myself that I'll be able to deal with this.
Trusting what you know in terms of trust the skills that I've built and the things that I've practiced and where I've seen positive experience and positive outcome, but also part of what I'm learning how to do is just to trust my intuition, just truly just trust myself. And when that ego comes along with its hands on its hips asking, are you sure? I do not have the time of day to give to you, ego.
Is that ego or is that doubt?
I think they're connected. I've always seen it as ego.
There's doubt where you don't have skills and don't have mastery. Well, you should be doubtful. You don't know what you're doing. I took on a project this weekend that I had not done before, and there was a lot of doubt, and it was well-earned doubt. I didn't know what was happening. So that created some tension. But there's also the doubt of the ego. Your ego's job is to try and protect you. And it becomes overactive, and it starts protecting you from things that are beneficial and growth-oriented, but in the process are going to be difficult or painful and are not going to give you a sense of pride in yourself in the process.
I think you're not wrong. It's not that it's not doubt, it's that it's misplaced doubt. There's no legitimate reason. I have the skills, I know what I'm doing, so just go do the thing, opposed to the earned doubt where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
There definitely have been moments of doubt, or I don't know if this will work out, or maybe I'm nervous, but usually more often than not, My ego's like, how hard could that be? Let's just do it, find out. And then I get in and I'm like, oh, that hard. Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
that famous quote of, we don't undertake these tasks because they're easy. We undertake them because we thought they would be easy.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
I need that on a t-shirt. Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. I mean, but that most of the businesses that I had started, if I knew they were going to be as hard as they were, I probably wouldn't have done it.
You've heard that Jensen Wong quote where I think it was the Acquired guys who asked him if, like, knowing everything you know now, would you do it all over again? And he was like, definitely not.
No. Yeah, I would just go get a job and be a
Yeah, he's like,
slacker.
it's terrible.
Props to the authenticity, though.
Yeah,
Like, I love
NVIDIA
it.
is like a $5 trillion company, and he's been at it for 35 years or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, would you do it all over again?" He's like, "No,
No, yeah.
definitely not."
30 years into the journey, I was an overnight success.
Yeah.
So we love to blame our imposter syndrome on a lack of competence. We tell ourselves, oh, I just need to read more books and take an Excel masterclass, and then I'll finally feel legit. I've never seen a truly incompetent person suffer from imposter syndrome. Incompetent people all think they're geniuses. So let's assume if you feel that you are suffering from imposter syndrome, I'm just going to assume that you're competent. And if you're listening to this, I'm going to bet you're wildly competent. When you spend every day living out of alignment with your values, you're doing full-time performance art. You become the hyper-polished, wildly successful version of yourself that everyone else applauds, while the real you is tied up in the trunk of the car. And that is exhausting. Eventually, your nervous system throws its hands in the air and says, hey, quick question. Who exactly are we trying to be today? Because I'm tired, boss. You can't gaslight your nervous system into feeling secure while playing a character. Confidence grows wherever authenticity grows. Because authenticity doesn't require you to memorize your lines. You don't have to stay up late rehearsing how to be you or to remember to get into character. You're never going to become confident by becoming a better method actor. So stop putting on the show, fire the director, rip up the script, and just show up as your weird, imperfect actual self. The imposter syndrome will pack its bag the second you stop acting. So how do we build this mythical creature called confidence or self-trust? Sadly, it doesn't fall out of the sky. It's one of the steps of the path to self-awareness, that it's like a video game level that you have to beat. First comes calm. I'm nervous, but I'm staying in my body. Connection. I'm not abandoning myself, even if this goes south. Clarity. I know what matters to me, and it's not perfection. Courage. I'm concerned, but I'm doing it anyway. Every time you work through that loop, your brain collects a little piece of evidence. Evidence becomes trust. Trust becomes confidence. Confidence, again, it isn't the starting line. It's the glitter left over after you've been brave enough times. Many people think breathwork is about achieving total cosmic relaxation. Yeah, that can happen at level 1. In reality, breathwork is training ground for your nervous system to learn how to handle discomfort. During a session, your brain might throw a temper tantrum, and your mind may scream stop while your body is yelling, we are not enjoying this. And then you just keep breathing anyway. And 20 minutes or so later, you open your eyes, look around, and realize, that wasn't so bad. I'm still here. Every single breathwork session is like handing your nervous system a receipt. It's cold, hard evidence. Got it out. Eventually, your nervous system stops asking, am I going to make it? Instead, it shrugs, puts on its sunglasses, and says, please, I've survived way worse than this before. That is confidence. What you should be asking yourself every single morning is, what evidence am I looking for today? Because confidence isn't a vibe. It's a court case and you need proof. Your brain will find what you're looking for. That is one of the powers of intention. Intention is that it tells your attention what to look for. So here are 5 practices to stack receipts in your favor. Step 1, set an intention to be authentic, not perfect. Before you even check your email, Set a boundary with your ego. Decide that you're going to show up as your weird self today instead of putting on a corporate theater production. When you intend to be authentic rather than perfect, you take the pressure off. Do breath work once a week. It's a once a week workout for your nervous system. By intentionally putting your body through a little bit of breathing discomfort and surviving it, you're training your brain to say, if we can handle that session, we can handle this meeting. 3, keep your promises to yourself. Every promise you keep becomes evidence. Trust is earned, even with yourself. If you promise yourself that you're going to go to bed at 10 p.m. and then you stay up until 2 a.m. watching TikToks of raccoons eating cotton candy, you stop trusting you. When you start out, keep the promises small. Number 4, adopt the prove or improve mindset. Stop treating life like a pass-fail exam. From now on, every challenge you face has exactly 2 outcomes. Either you prove what you're already capable of, or you improve your skills for the next time. That's it. Either way you win. The only way you lose and breed self-doubt is if you avoid the thing entirely. Inspect your receipts. Number 5. When the imposter syndrome starts whispering lies, pull out the receipts and ask yourself, where have I already done difficult things? What have I already survived? Confidence grows by remembering reality, not by inventing fantasy. Mastery is just repetition, and repetition creates evidence, and evidence creates the self-trust. Confidence isn't believing in the outcome. Confidence is trusting yourself with whatever the outcome is.
How do you think the difficult breathwork experience compares to really difficult exercise? I've had some tough breath work. I compare it to doing really terrible CrossFit. It doesn't get easier. You just gain confidence in what it's going to feel like, and you get better, and it still really hurts.
As you become more physically fit, the CrossFit workouts become more physically demanding.
Yeah, but somehow they're psychologically less terrible sometimes.
And I think what that's pointing to is what I'm pointing to, which is in the grand scheme of things, as you become more fit, you're able to tolerate greater physical pressures. When they work out and get sore, they take that soreness as a sign of positivity and growth, that they understand, hey, I am sore after a workout. This is a good thing. We have almost no frame of reference for that mentally, emotionally. That when we've done a difficult mental, emotional thing and there is some lingering soreness afterwards, oh my God, I'm dying. I should never do that again. That was the worst thing ever. I'm crippled emotionally for the rest of my life. That is how a lot of people are facing the hardships in their life because nobody's ever given them that framework. So when they're doing breath work, what is happening is they are having that moment of discomfort. It's manageable. They can opt in at any point and they can opt out at any point with breath work. They can manage that intensity level that they're experiencing. But even if it becomes really intense, when it's done, they can go, yeah, I made it. I did the thing. But it's that continual, I have faced a difficult thing, felt a difficult thing, I survived. I can now take it a little bit deeper. I can go a little bit more intense now. And I think that's what happens physically. If somebody woke up in the middle of the night having the same sensation that they had during the middle of a CrossFit workout, they would immediately call an ambulance.
Oh, yeah. It'd be out of context. That would be terrifying.
Correct. Same thing with the emotions and the mental experiences that you have during breath work. Even if they have that this is the context because they've never experienced anything like that before in their life, it can be very disorienting.
The mental emotional soreness equivalent to me feels like catharsis in a sense.
In breath work, there's an afterglow that when you begin doing breath work, the benefits last 3 or 4 days. That you have an elevated state of being, you're calmer, you're clearer, the birds are singing, everything's great in life, and then it starts to wear off, and then you start going back to your normal mood and mentality. And I think as you develop, what ends up getting sore is you may have echoes of grief. You may have echoes of depression or anxiety that are still working through your system, that it uncovered an owie during breath work. Let's just pick depression. And that for the next 2 or 3 or 4 days, there may be echoes of that depression that are still processing. For me, it was anger. I had an experience where for 2 weeks, I would just randomly get angry. There was no trigger. There was no cause. There was no story. There was nothing going on except me stomping around being angry. And that was the last remnants of my anger leaving my system permanently.
It's like the last gasp.
Of the ego going, no, we need to hang on to this anger. This is what motivates your entire life. And up until that point, that was true.
One fuel source.
Every day when I was a professional fighter, I would do push-ups. Did 100 push-ups every day. And every push-up, I said, fuck you, Mom, you're wrong.
That fuel don't burn very clean.
It does burn hot, though.
It burns hot. It's not very clean. That is the coal of emotional fuel.
We were rolling coal. Yeah, there was a reason my teammates didn't like me.
I think there's something to be said, too. You were talking about how as you continue the same sort of physical workout, your tolerance increases and you're able to do more complex workouts, lift heavier weight, and do more complex movements. I think it's the same thing, right? Sometimes healing seems cyclical. You think you deal with something and then somehow, sometime later, here it is again, but you're not dealing with it from square one. You're dealing with it with more wisdom and more understanding and more compassion and more of whatever it is that you need to be able to vibrate higher when revisiting this thing that you felt you already dealt with.
One of the doctrines that we have here is capacity before catharsis. That a lot of times when people come in and do breath work, they just like have this overwhelmingly powerful emotional release. I don't think that's always very helpful. Let's give people some capacity first. Let's give them some ability to deal with that before, like, hey, can you do 10 push-ups before we have you start bench pressing 135? Yeah. And as your capacity increases, your ability to deal with that increases, so you become more refined. And the problem itself becomes more refined, that you're not dealing with the same large block that you were dealing with before. You can look at it and go, hey, there's a little angle over here that I kind of missed before. I need to clean that up a little bit. For me, I was recently ruminating on some things, which I found very not delightful, and thought, well, I don't want to deal with this anymore, and went through the process. And it took me about an hour and a half to go through the process, and it's since been resolved. It's not raised its ugly head again. When I was starting this journey, that would have taken weeks to months. And now it's just, all right, we're going to do the thing for an hour and a half here, and then we'll dust our hands off and be done with it.
Yeah. More capacity, higher vibration.
Correct. Quicker results. Yeah. Sometimes you reach the end of your capacity and you go, oh, we have a new problem here. This is going to be a challenge for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I experienced that more recently, more regularly in breathworks too. It's just, oh, this is a moment of discomfort. I can see that this is an opportunity to level up, and what's going to determine how successful that level up is how I react in this moment.
This was most clear for me when I was an athlete. I had Graston done all the time, which is where they take a metal tool and just scrape it over your muscles and over your tendons. And when the tissue was healthy, it sounded like a knife being scraped over butter. It just went zip, zip, zip. It felt good, sounded good. And then whenever they would get to unhealthy tissue, it sounded like they were rubbing the knife over gravel. And you could just hear it going, and it would hurt. And it was like, oh, this is uncomfortable because it's not healthy.
Yeah.
When your fascial tissue feels like it has pebbles in it, is not fun.
No.
When people are talking to me about reflexology, I have to tell them this is not a foot massage. I'm not showing up to be nice to you. Like, please do not mistake it that way, because you will be sore.
Here's your stick to bite on.
I have compared breath work to a massage, and that sometimes a massage is relaxing and enjoyable, and other times it's transformative.
Yeah.
I think the thing I used to say when I first started breath work is like, there's two types of massages. There's the type of massage that is relaxing, and then there's the type of the massage where we're going to massage the front of your knee from the back of your knee. Which, if you've ever had that experience, it is
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
An out-of-body experience sometimes, because your nervous system goes, whoa, no more. Just kind of leaves.
I've also had the experience of, hey, you know that part of your ACL that you can't see or touch? Yeah, we're going to massage that part today.
That made my knee tingle.
It almost peed my pants.
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable response.
My experience of developing confidence comes from very first principled approaches to things. So when I feel like I have a reasonable command of the basics of a thing, the core movements, I know kind of where to put things and how to approach it. And then the experience of doing things that are more or less painful and you get through it is, for me, it's a combination of understanding how the things work in this space and knowing that I'll be able to put them together to figure it out. And there may be an element of execution that requires practice. I'm not totally in the dark about how A to B generally looks.
Part of that is you generally consider yourself a capable person, and not everybody has that advantage. I certainly didn't growing up. Certainly nobody told me as a kid that I was capable. In fact, they pounded it into my head that I was not. So it takes a while to develop that confidence when your dad says the things like, well, you got them fooled. They think you were a good person.
Ooh. Oh.
So it takes a little while to overcome that. And when I did overcome it, I greatly overshot the mark and was arrogant for 20 or 30 years.
How old are you again?
53, 54.
Math don't math.
Believing yourself capable, even if you don't have that particular species of technique of skill, matters. The project I was working on this weekend was I was learning to shoot the podcast with multiple cameras, was trying to put it all together. It wasn't working. And because it wasn't working and I had to keep restarting the project, it was using up all my tokens and credits. And I was like, this is going to cost me another $50 because I'm dumb or at least ignorant on this topic. And in the grand scheme of things, $50 is not much, but I didn't want to spend $50 for.
It's irritating.
It's annoying. It was irritating. And I was feeling some level of tension about that. And finally I was like, you don't have to be this on edge about this.
Yeah.
You can relax. It'll be okay. And then as soon as I relaxed, it was in fact okay.
Did it get easier when you relaxed?
Yeah. And then it actually worked.
Yeah.
Which is super annoying.
I think.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
What am I, like a human that has to learn how to do things? This is ridiculous.
And then once I finally relax, it actually works out. I thought this was a lesson for the peasants, not for a Buddha like me.
I hate it here.
I want you people to learn the lesson, not me to learn the lesson.
I have a very similar thing that happens when I'm like, this should work. And it's usually like some saw or some tool or something like, this should work. And I'm white knuckling it the whole time. And then finally I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't work, I'll buy another piece of wood. And like, it'll cost me $50 or whatever because my wife likes expensive wood. And then once I let go, then my brain is like, oh, the solution is this other thing you couldn't see because you were holding on for dear life to whatever other stupid version of this. And then I'm like, oh, should have done that from the beginning. Yeah. But so I guess ultimately my question, like we've shared an equal surprise as to like how a lot of people first principle reasoning does not compute. How do those people gain confidence or like develop confidence if they don't like understand how things work in a
from a first principles point of view?
It's another skill that has to be built.
The way that you work with those people is you just give them instruction. And when they follow the instructions, it works. They follow the instructions. Now, if life changes, they don't have the ability to adapt because they don't understand why they were following the instructions.
And that's got to be really terrible for confidence because if like things are always changing.
Contraire, my friend.
Okay. Tell me how I'm
Those
wrong.
are the most confident people.
Really?
Anytime you see someone who is really defending their position, if you ask them why they believe what they believe, they almost never know the underlying cause why. Yeah. So I would say that's arrogance.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. So some of the most genuinely confident people you ever meet are the quietest in the room. They aren't the ones dominating the conversations, sucking all the oxygen out of the air, or treating a casual happy hour like a corporate PowerPoint presentation about how great they are. They don't need to impress you. Confident people are the quickest to look you dead in the eye and say, I don't know. Confidence doesn't need certainty, it just needs the truth. So how's the voice inside of your head showing up? The imposter says, I know the answer, I can do the job, I already did it, but somehow I still feel like I'm going to jail for fraud. Arrogance says, please, I already know everything. Next question. Spoiler, they usually don't know anything. Insecurity whispers, I probably can't do this. Let's go hide in the bathroom. But confidence shrugs and says, I don't know yet, but I'll learn. That is the ultimate goal, guys. You don't need to know everything today. You just need to trust that you're smart enough, brave enough, and self-aware enough to figure it out as you go. So with that, we will close out with today's poem. This is Love After Love by Derek Walcott. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. That was Love After Love by Derek Walcott. Confidence isn't believing in the outcome. Confidence is trusting yourself with whatever the outcome is. We spend our lives worried someone is going to realize we're just three raccoons in a trench coat trying to pass as competent. We build a fragile house of cards out of titles and external trophies, treating our day-to-day life like a one-person off-Broadway show called Successful Adult. And then we wonder why we walk around feeling like a fraud. But confidence isn't a mindset you can gaslight your brain into. It's a biological receipt you hand to your nervous system after you've had the courage to show up as your actual, imperfect self. Derek Walcott reminds us of what happens when the theater production finally folds. He writes that the time will come when you finally greet yourself arriving at your own door and love again the stranger who was yourself, whom you ignored for another. Your work this week is to stop being a flawless actor and start being an authentic human being. Practice breathwork once a week, collect your receipts of discomfort, and peel your manufactured image off the mirror. You don't need to have all the answers to earn a seat at your own table. True confidence doesn't shout, it shrugs and trusts that you can handle life. Confidence isn't the starting line, it's the glitter left over after you've been brave enough times. Take down the desperate notes, sit down, and feast on your life. How you breathe is how you live. Take a big, authentic breath.